"Sir, my baby sister is freezing." The little boy's voice trembled. It was the way his tiny hand clutched the edge of the COS coat that stopped Alexander Reed's breath, because no child should ever sound that scared. It was almost midnight when Alexander, the notoriously strict and feared CEO of Reed Enterprises, finally stepped outside his towering glass building. The winter wind was brutal, snowflakes swirling like tiny shards of ice. He had just finished a long day firing 3 managers, rejecting 2 merger proposals, and arguing with half the board. All he wanted was silence. A car, heat, nothing else. But fate had other plans. As he crossed the empty sidewalk, he felt a sudden tug on his expensive coat. He turned and froze. A little boy, maybe 7 years old, soaked from the snow, stood shivering violently. His lips were pale, his hair plastered to his forehead, but it was the bundle in his arms that made Alexander's heart lurch. A baby girl, wrapped in nothing but a thin, torn scarf. Her skin had a bluish tint. Her tiny fingers were unmoving. "Sir, my baby sister is freezing. Please." The boy's voice cracked, but he lifted the baby a little higher, his eyes full of desperation. Alexander felt his chest tighten painfully, a sensation he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. He dropped to one knee instantly, the snow soaking through his trousers. "Where are your parents?" he asked, his voice softer than he intended. The boy swallowed hard. "Mama's in the hospital. Papa left. I tried to keep her warm, but I don't know what to do anymore." Snow hit the sidewalk in heavy clumps around them. Baby didn't even cry. She was too weak. Without a second thought, Alexander shrugged off his $1,000 coat and wrapped it around both children, pulling them close to his own chest for warmth. "Come with me," he said firmly. "I'm taking you home." Alexander's mansion was always cold, emotionally more than physically. No children, no laughter, no warmth. Just empty halls and silent rooms lined with expensive art. But that night, something changed. He held the baby girl carefully as his house staff rushed around in a state of controlled panic, bringing heating blankets, warm milk, towels, and soft clothes. The little boy refused to leave his sister's side, watching her with an intensity that broke Alexander's heart. Alexander watched them silently, a strange ache blooming inside him. When the baby finally let out a tiny whimper, her first sound since he found her, the boy burst into tears of pure relief. He clung to Alexander's sleeve. "Sir, thank you. You saved her." For the first time in years, Alexander didn't feel like a CEO. He felt human. After settling the children in a warm guest room, Alexander gently asked the boy his story. His name was Eli. His baby sister was MIA. Their mother, a hard-working waitress, had collapsed during a double shift and been taken to the hospital. She'd told Eli to wait with a neighbor, but the neighbor had a fight with their landlord and locked them out. Eli tried to get back to the hospital, but the snowstorm was just too strong. So he'd hidden behind Alexander's building, trying to shield Mia with his own thin sweater. He wasn't crying anymore as he told the story. He had simply run out of tears. Alexander listened in absolute stillness, every word cutting deeper than any business deal gone wrong. He remembered himself at that age, cold, scared, alone, after his own father abandoned him. And suddenly, he understood this little boy in a way that scared him. The next morning, without hesitation, Alexander drove both children to the hospital. When they entered the room, their mother, Lena, gasped in confusion. "Eli, Mia, oh my God, where were you?" Eli ran to her, crying in relief. Alexander waited respectfully near the door. When Lena finally looked up at him, her expression shifted from panic to shame to overwhelming gratitude. "Sir, thank you. I don't know how to repay you." "You don't have to repay anything," Alexander said gently. "Your children survived a night they shouldn't have. That's more than enough." But his gaze lingered on the thin hospital blanket covering her, the 4-line in her arm, the exhaustion etched on her face. This family needed more than just a temporary rescue. Alexander didn't make a dramatic announcement. He didn't brag. He simply acted. He paid Lena's medical bills quietly, arranged a safe, warm apartment for the small family. He offered Lena a steady, flexible job at his company's cafe. And every afternoon he found himself stopping by to see how Eli and Mia were doing, pretending it was just a routine check-in. Within weeks, they had become the only bright part of his day. Eli started calling him Sir Alex, and little Mia, who adored him, reached for him every time he entered the room. One snowy evening, as Alexander lifted Mia into his arms, Lena looked at him, her eyes full of gratitude and confusion. "Why are you doing all of this?" she whispered. He hesitated, then decided to tell the truth. "Because I know what it feels like to grow up alone," he said quietly. "And I don't want your children to live the childhood I did." Her eyes softened. "You're not alone now," she said gently. Months passed. The cold winter turned into a warm spring. And in that time, the CEO who once believed he had no heart found a family he never knew he needed. Eli started school, thriving. Mia grew stronger and brighter. Lena healed. And Alexander, who once lived only for his work, started living for something far more meaningful. Because sometimes one desperate whisper from a freezing child is all it takes to melt the frozen walls around a hardened heart. And sometimes the family you save becomes the family that saves you back. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring content.